Many of you ask me which Adobe tool is best for designing business cards. So I decided to cover this topic in 2 tutorials. In this first part, I will show you how to create the artwork and layout for a business card in Illustrator. I will demonstrate features like the trim marks effect, using bleed and clipping masks. In the second part, I will take the design we create now and show you how to quickly generate multiple cards with the names and details of each of the employees using data merge in InDesign. The link to that tutorial will be in the description below once it's released. As always, if you like the way I explain things and you want to learn more from me, make sure to check out our training platform, where you can access over 200 hours of premium courses on tools like Illustrator. Use the link in the description below to start your membership now with a 3-day free trial. Alright, so here we are in Illustrator and I'm going to show you 2 different ways of setting up business cards. One of them is going to be using trim marks and the other one is going to be using artboards with bleed on them. Because this is one of the first and most important aspects of setting up business cards, to make sure that you have bleed around them. This is usually 3mm extra edge that is printed to make sure that at the end, in the final result, you have perfectly printed colored edge on the business card. And obviously if you have white background, it doesn't really matter. But when you have color background or details or patterns like these ones here in the corners, you want to make sure these are printed correctly. Let me show you first the trim mark setup. This is something for which you will need 2 separate rectangles. So I'm not going to talk about the actual sizing because it really depends where you are. There's different sizes used in the States, different sizes used in the UK and in the rest of Europe as well. So it really varies. And of course, you can also have vertical and landscape formats. So there's no point in really going through the sizes. But what's more important is to make sure you know how to set it up and get it ready for print. So the first thing is to have 2 rectangles added. One should be 3mm bigger than the other one in all directions. Now the way you can do this is, once you have your actual print size, this is the red rectangle here, you can copy and paste that rectangle, Command C, Command F, or Control C, Control F. And then I'm just going to set this one to a different color. And to make sure that this is bigger, I'm going to the transform options, take off the chain, make sure that the center registration point is selected, or reference point. And then for the width, I'm just going to type in +6, enter. And then the same thing for the height, +6, enter. And there you go, there's the 3mm extra. So this means that we have 3 on top, 3 on bottom, and the same on left and right. So I'm just going to copy this rectangle here on the right as well, so it's the right size, align it to the center point. Now, if I start moving elements like these ones here, I can just drag and drop them and also resize them. These will be here on the business card and we will have our logo in the middle. By the way, I would like to see who knows where these names are from, the name on the right, and also there's a hint here with the company name as well. You can let me know in the comment sections if you figured it out. But now that I have the elements in place, I can move the red outline on top of everything, so just we can see it. So this is going to be the detail where things will get trimmed. But to be able to print this out, we need that additional detail outside the red outline. And that is why I'm going to select this red rectangle, and I can actually select the other one here as well. And when I go to the effect menu and choose crop marks, both of these will be turned into the crop marks, or an effect will be added on them, which will highlight where they will need to be trimmed. So once this is printed out, this is exactly where they will need to be trimmed. Now, having the trim marks here is great, but you have to be careful not to leave that red outline there. Obviously, that's something you don't want to end up having in the print. So what I normally do is to move these red rectangles onto a separate layer. So I'm going to duplicate them. The ones that I keep on this print layer, I'm going to set to no visibility. So they are not visible, but the good thing about the trim marks effect is that those will still be visible and they will also be printed. But once I have them set to invisible, I can copy them, and this is not necessary to do, but I quite like to have a separate layer with these duplicates on them, and you can see I'm going to have these duplicates placed on that new layer. So now that we have them selected, I can set the stroke back to being red or any other color that you prefer to indicate where the actual card edge is. But this layer, I'm going to double click on this new layer and I'm going to turn off the print option. So this is going to be just my card edge layer, which is not going to be printed. So whatever I have here is not going to be visible in the print. So when I turn it off, this is actually what's going to be visible in the print. But while I'm working, and if I want to see where the edge is, I can turn it back on. This is a safe way of setting it up, and I would even lock this layer so I can't move it around accidentally. The same goes for the trim marks as well. So if I find the trim marks, there's one, there's the other one. These can actually be also on a separate layer. So if I want, I can put them there and just call them trim marks. These can also be locked, so we don't, again, accidentally move them around. Now, another thing that I would normally do, which just helps to keep things tidy, is to create a clipping mask. And that's why I have this other rectangle here, which again should be on top of everything else. And then by using the Shift key, select everything else that is in the background or that is close to the edges of the design, and then use Command or Control 7, which is the clipping mask keyboard shortcut, to define the area within which we want to see the illustration. So here in the layers panel, there's my clipping group, and within that I can still select the objects. So if I switch here on the top in the edit contents, or if I go to the group itself, I can still access these shapes and move them around freely, even rotate them, scale them. But now, because they are in a clipping mask, it's much easier to see how it's going to look in print. Once again, if I turn off the card edge, that's what I would get in the final print. And the printers will know exactly what to do with these trim marks, so they will be able to crop it like that. Now, the same goes for the right side as well. So if I wanted to have, obviously, the name on this side, and maybe again the graphics from here. So I'm just going to copy one of these patterns and paste, move it here on the right side, and then maybe have the logo as well on the top right. Normally, it's good to have one corner of your business card a bit more empty, at least so from the four corners, one should be a bit more empty. Otherwise, it just feels a little bit too busy. So I'm just going to copy this logo mark. So here, I'm not going to use the actual name of the company. I'm just going to use the logo mark. And let's just put it somewhere here, nicely aligned to the name. It could even be here at the bottom if you wanted to, but I think that's should work nicely. But again, one important thing is I'm going to make sure that I create the clipping mask. That just helps me to visualize better what's going to end up in the final design. So once again, I select that rectangle, place it on top. That's Command Shift square bracket, or right click, arrange and bring to front. Then Shift click on the other object and then Command 7 or Control 7 to create the clipping mask. And once again, we can check without and with the card edge. So that's basically it when you're using the trim marks effect. But of course, you can also rely on artboards to set things up in Illustrator. And there's no real advantage in either of these. It's really a preference, whichever you would like to work with. So I'm going to show you that as well. I am going to zoom out a bit, and I will select one of these rectangles. So maybe one of the rectangles we have here, I'm just going to unlock. Copy that. I can even copy everything in here, so maybe that's an easier way of doing it. Just copy all of this, Alt click or Option click, drag it down. And now that we have it ready there, I'm going to select that rectangle which we have for the trim marks. And if I use the artboard tool, that's Shift O, that's the shortcut for it. All I have to do is to click anywhere here and then align it to that rectangle. So that way we will have the artboard set up like that. And now that we have the artboard in place, we can go to the File menu and choose Document Setup, because this is where we can set up the bleed. So all I have to do is to increase this value up to 3 millimeters. And once I click OK, we will see these red outlines on all of our artboards. So this means when you're saving this as a PDF at the end, you will be able to include the bleed settings. And you don't actually even need the trim effect here or the trim marks effect here. So we can get rid of that rectangle. So I got rid of the trim marks. Now, if I were to save this as a PDF and get it ready for print, I would do the following: Save As from the File menu, choose PDF. In this case, I'm going to only save the second artboard, and then I'm going to click Save. And in the settings here, I will go to Marks and Bleeds, make sure that the Use Document Bleed settings is on, and then turn on the Trim Marks. If I then save this PDF, it's going to generate the trim marks for us. So it is completely up to you whichever method you prefer. Both of them technically are correct. But before I wrap up this video, I wanted to also show you a really cool site on which I'm going to create a couple of mockups for these cards. So the site that I'm going to use is called Smart Mockups, and it's a brilliant site with lots of different mockups in all kinds of different categories. So you will find digital, print, apparel, and then once you choose the actual type of product that you want, in this case we just select business cards, we will see 38 different mockups at the moment. And we can also filter for photos or isolated mockups, which will have transparent backgrounds. And of course, we can also switch between free or premium. Now, most of the mockups you will find here are premium. It means that you will have to pay monthly fee to be able to use the site. If you're interested to get their subscription, you actually get 20% off as a loyal Yes, I'm a Designer fan. So let me show you how it works once we upload the design. All we have to do is to select one of these. Let's just say I'm going to select this design here, and then I'm going to upload my design from my computer. And once it comes up, we can still crop it and align it. We can scale it up and down as well until it gets to the right size. And once I say crop and continue, we can immediately see it in the mockup. But here comes the best part. If I want to see all the other mockups, I can just scroll down and immediately see all of them. And if I want to check them out, I just click on it and boom, there you go. I just love how easy it is to quickly switch between them and really find the best format that you can show to your client. There's some really nice realistic looking mockups like this one as well. I just love how the shading and everything is created. And that's all I wanted to show you in this tutorial. But next time when we return back to talk about business cards, I'm going to demonstrate in InDesign another interesting workflow where you will be able to learn how to create multiple versions for a bigger company with lots of employees. Let us know in the comment section what would you like us to cover next time on this series. Click on the link in the description or the join button to become a member if you want to work on future projects with us and see the whole design or illustration process live. Thanks a lot for watching. Like and share this video if you enjoyed it. Have fun learning, guys, and I will see you in the next one.